Hi everyone, well I'm down here in the garage because I've got a new project on. This is it here. It's not quite astrophotography but it is still space, and what I've received here is a camera setup from Fireballs New Zealand.
Ah! My balls! They're on fire!
No, not that kind of fireballs.
Great balls of fire!
Not that one either. This is a camera that's going to be searching the sky for meteors, and hopefully some that are big enough to create a fireball and therefore become a meteorite, which means you can actually find it on land. Now, I do have a security camera at the front of the house which has picked up 3, maybe 4 fireballs already, and we were on one of them, sort of did have a area triangulated to go and search, and we're all set ready to go out and do that at the beginning of the year, but unfortunately we had the great floods which basically put an end to that. So this camera I'm going to be setting up on the house, probably looking more to the east. The reason being is that there are other cameras around here which have already oriented positions, and so they're keen for me to fill a little gap that's out to the east. And so what I'm going to do is open this up, see what's inside, and then I'm going to have to set it up outside somewhere. It does have a Raspberry Pi associated with it, and it does, when it's sort of imaged for the night, it does collect data on what it thinks are some meteors or fireballs, and sends them back to an area where the information is crunched, and if there's enough cameras that have picked it up, they can try and triangulate whether or not a meteorite has made it to land. So let's open up and have a look at what's inside. Okay, let's open this up. It's got some holes, because the idea being that this is supposed to be holding the Raspberry Pi, etc. So there's ventilation holes, and there's also a couple of pre-drilled holes here for cables going in. So let's open this up. So I've got some instructions here about what I have to do with mounting it. Get some of this paper out. So there's an Ethernet cable, 10 meters, to get me into the house from the camera. There's a Raspberry Pi power supply. There'll be a Raspberry Pi in here somewhere. Oh, this is another power supply. I presume maybe for the camera. Not sure. And this should be the Pi itself. Yep. Here it is here. Some fans and heat sinks and inputs and extra bits and pieces. So and looks like an SD card, 128 gigs, so that's pretty good. Oh, put this back in. And then the camera itself. Oh, hang on, got an HDMI cable here. And here's something else. Some more cables. And the camera here. So it's going to attach to the wall. It's quite a big thing. Attach to the wall and point sort of up, I guess, like this. And there's some foam in there to get rid of. I think that was there to protect the lens, which is underneath. And there's some cables needed connecting up. So I'll have to read some instructions and see about setting this all up. Okay, I've undone the latch over here and just carefully open up the lid of the camera, like so. And here's a couple of cables here. Now I have to move this back a bit so I can actually get rid of that foam at the very front, and then so I have to slide the camera back, take the foam off, and then slide it back forward as close to the glass as possible without touching it. got to get the Ethernet cable in through here, so we're going to go in through back the cable glands at the back here, connect them and leave it inside, the connection inside here. You don't want this outside because the water's going to get to it. Okay, so as it turns out, this little grommet, if you like, you can't pass one through there, it's too big, because this was designed for letting some of the cables on the inside to come out. But now the cables on the inside, I said they need to be kept inside to keep them waterproof. So what I'm going to do is, I have from the nights when I was doing Christmas lights these modular plugs for making your own Ethernet cables. I've got some cable here with the ends there, and I've just stripped those out. And then the other thing is I have a checker, so I can put the ends in once they're made to see if I've got the connections all made correctly. So what I'm going to have to do is undo this and now I've got a copy here of the order that the cables need to be in. So now it's a matter of just getting them to line up, and then where is Ian? And then once they're lined up, feed them in through here, and then use the crimping tool just to close it off. So let's get started. Okay, moment of truth. Get the other end. Plug that in. Plug this in. Green, green, green. Yep, they all match up. So that is correctly done. Okay, so now I have an end that's in here all ready to go, so I just need to connect it. So it's a bit awkward to see. Connect it into this end here. Wrong way around. No, that's the correct way around. Here we go. And pull the excess through. Need a bit more space to work with here. Like so. And then the other thing I need to do is tape this up. Although I don't know if this is going to have lights on it, but it reckons there's lights here that can cause it to flicker around, so I'll tape that up anyway just in case. And then we should be connected in with the correct cable. Okay, time to install it. So the box is all set up here with the Raspberry Pi. I'll talk about that later. Got the camera here waiting. I am going to have to drill a hole in here to get the cable to go through. But my plan at this stage is to just attach it to the end of the deck, and then it should be able to have a nice view of the sky out to the east. Now I'm just going to put another Ethernet end on here with the crimping tool, and then I'll be able to attach it all, plug it in, check the sky, see if it's positioned in the right place, and hopefully all good to go. So at the end of the night you end up with quite a lot of FITS files and other files and stacks. About 20 gigs worth gets loaded up to a site in Canada for analysis. And in here, you can see it was quite cloudy that night, but you can clearly see the stars in Orion, and there are little dashes and things, sort of little lines running through. Some of them are planes, some are satellites, and some are meteors. And one thing I sort of noticed, intrigued me initially, down in the bottom right-hand corner where I've circled, you'll see a bunch of lines come running through. Now, I'll just slow this down again. You see there's a satellite going through, and the satellites will tend to be sort of square-ended, unlike a meteor, which would be javelin-shaped, pointed each end. And this line of square-ended dashes down here were actually Starlink satellites, which launched 2 nights earlier. Now I've also saved some of the image files off the Pi just onto my computer so I can show you them in Photoshop. So this is a stack that you see at the end of the night. Now obviously a lot of this is cloud because we can see a lot of cloud running through. Some of these other lines, this is probably a plane, this might be a satellite running through here. Some of these longer ones might be satellites, but a lot of these other ones which are sort of pointy ended at each end will be meteors that it will pick up. You can see this area down here. This was this line of Starlink satellites here. What it also then tries to do is it tries to subtract things like the moon. It tries to subtract the satellites, although I don't think it's actually subtracted them here because you can clearly see the individual square-ended Starlink satellites here. But it tries to also remove the star trails and also just keep these sort of, as I said, javelin-shaped things with the pointy ends, which are likely to be meteors. And then it does some analysis on them, and I think this is extremely clever. You end up with a file like this, showing where these meteors are coming from. Now we can see the Orionids is here, and it says quite a few are coming from there. Now, I did struggle a little bit to count. I think it said that there were 39 meteors, and I'm not sure that I could count 39 meteors in the image, so I do wonder whether it sort of mistook some of the ones that were Starlink satellites as Orionids, but that's the problem when you get these Starlinks suddenly appearing down the corner. If they had appeared in the middle of the screen and travelled across the screen, I think it would have realised that these were satellites and removed them, but it wasn't really sure because they were down in the bottom corner. It said there were some from the Southern Taurids, and I think this is Epsilon Geminids, and I think this is called Chi Taurids as well, which are going, but it sort of shows you when it does pick up the meteors, it can work out exactly where these or which meteor shower these are coming from. So there are quite a few interesting websites that then you can go to see how the information is being used from your particular camera. One of them is the Global Meteor Network, and if we look just down here you can see that there is a map here, and all these blue dots represent cameras that are in different countries. If we just zoom in here, you can see that the UK has quite a few blue dots, and all these yellow dashes are all meteors that were picked up. So the UK, I think, has the most cameras per country, I think it is. You can see there are some scattered through Europe. I was actually interested to see that the United States doesn't have a huge amount. Whilst quite a few meteors were picked up here, you can see that the blue dots are quite scattered through here. So not a lot of cameras in the United States or Canada. If we come across to down our end of the world, and you can see Australia doesn't have a lot. There's a few around Victoria, there's a small number around Perth, picked up quite a few meteors and things. A couple in Brisbane, the odd one around Sydney, but in New Zealand we've got quite a few cameras given the size of the country, and you can see that the meteors that were picked up here. If I just zoom in, you can see the locations of where these cameras are. This one here is on Waiheke Island, and this one here is in Albany, which is not far from where I am. My camera hasn't appeared yet, but apparently it will in the next few hours, or the next 12 hours or so. But what you can do is you can also click on these cameras and you can see, okay, it picked up these meteors here yesterday. This is yesterday's figures. If we click here, this one picked up these ones, And I think if I click on this one, you can see that this camera also picked up these, but in addition picked up these ones over here. And there's a camera down here which also, which one, not that one, this one, also picked up these. And then if you want to see what these meteors, you know, what meteor shower they're coming from, you can just try and highlight this, click on it, and you can see here it's actually one of the Orionids, and it was traveling at 67.4 kilometers per second, so pretty fast. The duration it lasts for was 0.68 of a second, and you can also see that the height at the beginning for this one was 115, nearly 116 kilometers, and by the time it disappeared it was down at 97 kilometers. So you know, really interesting to have a look and see in your own country, and also what your camera has picked up and what's been calculated there. There is another website here. This is the NASA Meteor Shower portal. Now it shows the cameras from different countries, but this is particularly New Zealand here, which I chose the date on the 22nd because the information from the 23rd and 24th wasn't there yet. But you can see meteors that were picked up here, and if we just click on one of these, I'm not really sure what the 8 means. I know that says 626. I don't know whether it's a number of meteors or whatever, but if you click on this one, it then sends you into another web page which has a really cool 3D model of the solar system. Now if we look in here, we've got the Sun in the centre, we've got Mercury, we've got Venus, we've got our blue planet represented by blue. There's Earth and then Mars and the outer ones. But you can see that this is the meteor shower that that particular meteor that was picked up by camera was part of, and you can see up here it's the part of the Orionids. And this is basically the debris cloud left by Halley's Comet when it passes by Earth. And if we have a look and see the planet moving around here, when it gets around to here, you'll see the date up to here is about October, and that's where we are now. And the second time it passes through the debris field, it's the Eta Aquarids. So 2 meteor showers related to the debris field left behind by Halley's Comet. The Orionids is from the inbound path of Halley's Comet and the debris left behind, and then this is from the outbound path. Also, some interesting information that you can get again from the Global Meteor Network is having a look at the number of meteors that are being seen around the world over a day and over a month. So if we have a look here, let me just move down a page actually here. So this is yesterday's plot of where the meteors were coming from. And you can see there's quite a group in yellow in the center, and this shows that they were traveling the fastest. You can see the scale on the right there, up to 70 kilometers per second, whereas the ones coming more out of the South Taurids, which are sort of the greeny ones, were going a little bit slower at 40 kilometers per second. And then if we move in here, it just shows you the count. So of course the higher number here, very, very bright. You can see that a lot of them coming out of the Orionids here, with smaller numbers scattered around here. And this is for the month, and you can see there's been a lot of activity going on here, and again the most intense around the Orionids, but also I think this is the South Taurids. I'm not 100% sure, but again you can see the big counts up here. So lots of really interesting information about meteors and what your camera's picking up and how it's contributing to the Global Meteor Network and to the NASA websites looking at where these meteors are coming from. And obviously if you can get a very bright one like a fireball and you can triangulate it through different cameras, you could actually potentially work out where it has landed in your country and then go for a search for it. So look, that was a quick rundown on how I set up my Meteor camera. There was other things involving setting up the Raspberry Pi software, which I didn't actually do, so I haven't sort of shown you that. But look, if it's something you think you might be interested in getting involved with in your local country, you know, Google fireballs in your country, and I just put that into, I did Fireballs Australia, and got a website up here. It's called fireballsinthesky.com.au. you could get a hold of them, for example, if you're in Australia, and see whether they're doing something similar with trying to make cameras available so that you can set up your own Meteor camera. And I thought it was quite cool because this, it's getting involved with some what they call citizen science, with all this information going to the global Meteor network and the NASA site, etc. So some really interesting stuff I think is possible from this, and particularly if you end up capturing a fireball that is triangulated to land on land, and then perhaps you can be involved in going and looking for it. So I hope you found this video interesting, if not useful, if you don't have the desire to be involved in such a thing. But if so, give it a like, that would be great, and leave a comment, ask some questions. I'll try and answer them as best I can, because I'm only just new to this being set up and getting involved. But otherwise, maybe look at your local countries and see if there is an association looking for fireballs and you can get involved. And look, until next time, I hope you get lots and lots of clear skies and don't get hit by a fireball.